Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you a unit that I don't know what you're going to do with. It's very weird, and I know that sounds negative starting off, and admittedly there was a time thinking through this, that was negative, but I am, I'm going to say pros and cons, and then I guess we all come to a conclusion at the end, if there is one. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So, Goremongers are, well, they were in Kill Team, new releases for Kill Team, and they got rules for over here. They are movement 9, T4, 6 up save, 1 wound, 85 points for 8 models, infantry with grenades, Chaos Corn, they infiltrate, and they have a reactive move with lopping speed. Once per turn, when an enemy unit ends a normal advance or fallback move within 9 inches of this unit, if this unit is not within engagement range or one or more enemy units, it can make a normal move of up to D6. They have auto pistols that can be replaced with a Goremonger's chain blade can be replaced with an auto pistol, or it could be replaced with a blood harpoon. One of them can be. I don't think you do that for like any reason, really, because you're playing corn on top of that. Take that back. I can see why you might include one blood harpoon. It has a solid sustained HD, 318 inches. It has one attack, but it hits on fours. It's strength 5, AP 1, damage 2. Maybe you just don't feel that you need the power of the chain blade, but you have Chain Blade and you have Close Combat Weapon. I don't understand why they're equipped with both. I guess if you really want to make one of those a Blood Harpoon, you still have a Close Combat Weapon. The Chain Blade has Lance. It's melee. 3 attacks, hidden on 4s, which is odd for Corn. Uh, I guess it's not odd. It's not that desirable for Corn. Strength 3, AP 0, damage 1. So all of that doesn't sound spectacular. But then I got to thinking, right? It is Lance. So that means you are hitting T4 and up. Well, not T4 and up. T4 until you get to 6. So 4 and 5 on 4s. And, 5 and above. Sorry, 6 and above on 5s. This we can do math here. I might not be able to. It's a little bit early in the morning for me. But um, there's a couple of things here. First off, you have infiltrators now that can get out there and let you get some scout moves with some of your other things like jackals and whatnot. Then I was thinking about the detachments, and I think Berserker Warband is a clear, yeah, they could at least have play here. So an infiltrating unit that on the charge gets +1 to strength and attack for their melee, and they have lance. That's not bad. So taking them up to um, 4 attacks, strength 4 means that they're wounding T4 on 3s and 5 on 4s, on the like, right? So that becomes pretty decent for 4 attacks across 8 models. So that's 32 attacks if get everybody in there. So Berserker Warband is looking like the clear favorite because here's the thing that I did worry about with Vessels of Wrath. If they include new units, how are they going to do this? It's not a World Eater's Terminator champ, a Berserker champ. Like it's not. They aren't champions, and they're not characters. So like I can understand if you take Vessels of Wrath purely because you want your infiltrating unit, or I take that back. I think it's more so the other way, where you don't take them for you don't take Vessels of Wrath for them, you take them for Vessels of Wrath, where maybe um, you're in a situation where, yeah, it'd be nice if your infiltrating unit could do a Blood Surge. It's 1d6, which, can get pretty swingy, which isn't great, but better than nothing, maybe. Just purely, it's 85 points. They're cheap enough. It can't be the worst thing possible, but it's kind of weird that they're not incorporated in some way. I think I understand the flavor. Like, yeah, no, you got to be like him. You got to be the guy for Corn to get a buff from Corn, but whatever. But going back to the Berserker Warband situation, even then, now we're on the flip side where I think maybe it's something good for Blood Offering where if they die, you can still sticky it, right? They were infiltrating, so if they died, you might as well, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, I can see I can see something, but now let's talk about why it was confusing to me because they hit on fours, and like that's high for corn, right? Um, it feels high. Maybe I'm forgetting. Let's actually pull up something like the Berserkers. There we go. Yeah, it feels high. So I guess they can't be as good as Berserkers. They are cultists, I guess, right? They're cultists that cut off their legs to be like bloodletters. I remember hearing. So I guess. But past that, here's where I got to thinking about them being better than I gave them credit for. They're cheap infiltrators, which is good, right? That's all. That's already good alone. But I was really looking at that output. I'm like, why would I do this, right? 85 points, and I can punch a Termagant, right? I can punch a squad of Termagants to death. I was doing that anyway. But here's the thing. I started thinking about my favorite punching bag in the Tyrannid faction, where every time I just have to show how goofy some things are. Uh, the Warriors. You get six in a squad, not including the Wing Tyrannid Prime, right? They don't have something like Fights First. They don't have an invuln outside of Warrior Bioform Onslaught. In Berserker Warband, these infiltrate, they get their charge off, and with lands, now they're four attacks hidden on four. Sorry, four attacks hidden on fours, yeah, with strength four, but the lance means that they're wounding T5 on four, and we're talking about 32 attacks. Yeah, the AP is zero, but they already have a 4-up save. So that's what I mean on that front. Where yeah, 32 attacks, you'll you have a 50% chance of hitting them. So let's say 16 go through for the hit, and then on that, let's just say that half of those, because you're hitting on fours and wounding on fours in this scenario. Let's say half of those go through. That's eight wound rolls that need to be gone through, and let's go on that, say four, right? I say only four because now we're saving on fours. AP zero, damage one. So yeah, that's four damage. That's killing a warrior and then damaging another if nobody spikes, right? If everybody rolls perfectly average or, on that, that's 85 points that just took out a warrior and then started damage another for a 150 point unit. So, I could see it. Now, if we're talking about somebody bringing threes of warriors, sure, there's that, right? And again, that's all just going off of infiltrate, nobody spiking, nobody saving. Well, saves being average, all of that. That when I put it in that way in my head, I go, huh, they infiltrated, preventing another infiltrate or a scout. They let you scout because you have space on the board because you infiltrated, and they have lance on chain blades, and with that's not even including any blessings of corn that might have happened. Maybe you have we're just gonna go here because it's right here. Maybe you ended up getting a feel no pain. Maybe you got sustained or lethals, right? Maybe you got sustained or lethals to make that damage go up on top of that. So sustained, plus one strength, plus one attack, lance. Yeah, that sounds pretty good for a unit of Goremongers, and then we're really doing some math on, well, now you are punching up for 85 points and 8 models. Like, that's the other thing. It's 8 wounds, but it is still 8 models, so you need, like, 8 attacks to get rid of the entire unit. And then if you get rid of the entire unit, going back to something like Berserker Warband, maybe you are on an objective, and because of Blood Offering, you still get to have it sticky. So for specifically Berserker Warband, I can see a lot of play for the Goremongers. Not so much Vessels of Wrath. I guess that's a no-brainer, but because you're playing World Eaters, you don't have too many options to do some things. So I guess it wouldn't be the worst, including one of these in your Vessels of Wrath list either. Vessels of Wrath list either. So I think at the end of it all, I'm not mad at them. I, I mean, I don't play World Eaters. I wasn't gonna be mad at them either way. I mean, I guess if they end up being way better than I expected and slapping me across the table, then I'll be salty. But you know, I think this is a fine inclusion. At first, I was a little bit skeptical. I'm like, ugh, what is this AP and this, that, whatever. But like, you do have to remember what all this is doing for you. They don't have stealth. They don't have an invuln. Um, they don't have fights first. What else don't they? But they do have lance and infiltrate, right? And it is 8 models. That's solid board control bodies. Even if you just string them out. Hell, I was going to say you string them out. What's their base size? Do we have a base size on here? Hmm. I need to find out their base size. Either way, string them out, probably touch a point, and then pull from the other way when they start dropping. It's not to say that they won't be able to be picked up, but they are T4. 85 points, 8 models of T4 is fair enough. And they have a reactive move. So yeah, I think the more I think about it, the more ways I see them being played, or the ways that they can have play, versus any of the output they can do, which of course this was a utility piece anyway. But how much utility pieces does KHORNE need? Not to say that they're built off of utility pieces, but more so the other way, where if you have enough force, you kind of just say fuck the utility. But anyway, I think World Eaters, this is a good inclusion. I think that's my final takeaway, that this is a good inclusion. I can see them doing pretty useful things, and hell, even be kind of annoying depending on what the blessings of corn roll that you get is. So yeah, I think I like them. Okay. If you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.